So what you guys have noticed is on the second one, it's its own inverse, right? So when you if you lie it across that if you fold across that line, you'll see that it pops out to itself. So for example, right, this point here is 3, 0. This point here is 0, 3. And what do you know? They're their own inverse, right? 0, 3 goes to 3, 0. 3, 0 goes to 0, 3. There you go. You got your line. Okay, the next one. Oh. Yeah. Oh, sorry, the first one. Should be the first one. The first one, we have, this is, what is that, 0, -3 becomes -3, 0. And then this one here is, what is that, 4, -2 becomes -2, wait. 4, -2 becomes -2. That's not right. I think you're right. 4, -2 becomes -2. What am I doing wrong, guys?
-2, 4, it's way up on the top.
-2, 4. Oh, it is right. Okay. All right. So for some reason, it's looking really strange. And then -4, -4 stays at -4, -4. So then I draw a line through all these. You'll see they're in the mirror image of each other. If you turn, so you have to turn your head, right? Turn your head this way and look at it this way, and you can see they're mirror images of each other, right? Or you can just rotate your paper. That's probably easy enough. So you can see their mirror images of each other. Okay, good. So now we've kind of looked at that graphically a little bit more. Let's take a look at it symbolically. This is what we did last class. Right, remember how we talked about how the x and the y swap places? So here's kind of that 4-step process. I'll do it without this. I'll just do it now. All right, so the first one, oops, guess I need the function. F of x is equal to 2x plus 3. All right, I'm going to do it for you guys because it's always easier if I go through. So the first thing, remember f of x. Is f of x my x or my y? Y. So I'm just going to make this into y equals 2x plus 3. That's my regular function. Now I'm going to change it. I'm going to make my inverse. What's up with the inverse? You're going to swap. Can everybody do me a favor? Where it says switch x and y, cross out the switch and make swap. Change it to swap. X and y. I don't like the switch. Switch is bad. Swap x and y. So I'm going to make I'm going to swap this into, I'm going to swap the x and the y. So x equals 2y plus 3. Everybody with me on this part so far? Inverse, and what happens to the inverse? The x and the y swap places. So we're going to swap them. Now that I've swapped them, this is the inverse. It's a different function. Now I need to solve for y. So normally what would I do? If I had a number, if y was 4, I'd multiply it by 2 and then I'd add 3, right? That's what we've been doing these last couple of problems. First you multiply and then you add. So what's happening to y? First it's being multiplied by 2 and then 3 is getting added to it. Remember, just like in life, when I leave the house I put my socks on, then my shoes. If I undo something, I undo them in the opposite order. So when I undo them at home, I don't take my socks off first, I take my shoes off, then my socks. Right? So the last thing you do is the first thing you undo. So the last thing I do is the -3, that's the first thing I'm going to undo. How do you undo adding 3?
-3.
Minusing 3. So I'm going to subtract, oh, don't forget, draw your line straight down to separate your two sides of the equation, straight down from the equal sign. Always do that, it'll make your life so much easier. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. If I do that, I will get x minus 3 on this side. And then these guys, they cancel out. Right? They go away. And I'm left with just 2y. Here's my equal sign. Equal sign goes all along this spot here. All right, so then what's the last thing I need to do to get just one y, to get y by itself? What's happening to y?
You have to divide it.
Yeah, it's being multiplied by 2. So how do you undo multiply by 2? There's two ways of undoing it. You can either divide by 2, or you can multiply by its, by what?
Reciprocal.
Reciprocal. So if I multiply 2 by what, how do I get what? 2 times what is 1? 2 times, what's the reciprocal of 2?
Negative 2.
Nope.
1/2.
1/2. If I multiply by 1/2, then 2 times 1/2, 1/2 of 2 is 1. So we can, that's actually a little bit easier, I think. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do, I'll show you why. 1/2 times x minus 3 equals 1/2. And everything on the side is being multiplied by 1/2. So I'm going to put everything on this side. Everyone look up for a second. Everything on this side needs to go inside the parentheses, because the whole thing is being multiplied by 1/2. Over here, the whole thing is being multiplied by 1/2. But there's only one piece. Okay, so do you guys understand the idea of terms? Have you guys seen terms? Let me hop over that for a second. X squared minus 2x plus 4. How many terms does this have? Anybody want to hazard a guess?
3.
Yeah. They're separated by these pluses and minuses. There's 1, 2, 3 terms.
Oh,
Everybody, can anybody see those? How about this one? How many terms is this?
2 terms.
Just 1. So this is 1 term. Let's try. I'll give you, this is also 1 term. This is also 1 term. We'll make that even. Those are all 1 term.
Why is raise the power of 2 1 term?
Because there's only one thing. These are all 2 terms. See the plus here, and the minus there, and the minus there? That's what separates terms.
Oh.
This is one thing being multiplied together. This is another thing. This is one group of stuff being multiplied together. This is another group of stuff being multiplied together. 2 terms. This one here, 2 terms.
So only pluses and minus separates terms?
Yep.
Not division or subtraction?
Nope. That makes it all one piece. Now, it gets messy is when you have an addition mixed in there. If it's all just things being multiplied together, or multiplied or divided together, that's 1 term. So, everybody, are you okay with that part? So,
And exponents don't count either, right? It's all 1 term.
well, it's being multiplied, right?
Yeah.
5 times
okay.
x times x.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so is everybody kind of better with terms now? Doing some practice with it? No? Yes? So how many terms is this one? How many terms is that, guys, folks?
2 terms.
2 terms? Okay, what if I did this? Now how many terms is that?
3 terms.
3 terms. Everybody good? Okay. Okay, so here, there are 2 terms here, the x and the minus 3. I'm going to put parentheses around it because 1/2 needs to be multiplied by each one of the terms. Here, there's only 1 term. 2y is just 1 term. Right, it's 1 blob, there's no addition, subtraction, so the 1/2 is going to get multiplied by this part. So I'm going to multiply 1/2 times 2y. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this part. 1/2 times x gives me what? 1/2 x. That's fine. 1/2 times negative 3 gives me what?
1.5. Maybe 1.5.
Right, 1.5. I'm okay with that, 1.5. Are you guys happier with that than you are with 3/2? Okay. And then 1/2 times 1/2 of 2y is what? Take the numbers, multiply them. What's 1/2 of 2?
1.
1. So that's what I want. I want y by itself. So then I have y equals. I can switch sides, right? I go to the grocery store. I buy 3 pizzas. I pay $9. $9 equals 3 pizzas. Also, I can switch them. 3 pizzas equals $9. Same thing, right? Everybody okay with that part? So I can swap these. I can swap places on these guys, and say that y equals 1/2 x or 0.5 x minus 1.5. So then my function would become g of g. It has to be called something different. Oh, actually, it's the inverse, isn't it? So it's the inverse. F inverse of x is equal to 0.5 x minus 1.5. Or you could also say, if you like the fractions better, you can leave them as, you can do them as fractions also. 1/2 x minus 3/2. That also works. Either one.
What about the division one?
What was that?
For division way, because you started with the division, then you split the multiplication.
You can
So
do
I'd
that.
like to see
Okay, so if you like the division way, you can look at that. The thing is, it gets a little bit trickier when you're trying to make them see if they're equal to each other. So this is x equals 2y plus 3. Or we'll just catch up with it where we are here. Here's an alternative. If you want to divide both sides by 2, you could do that. It gets a little bit messier because you'd have to say, okay, x divided by 2 minus 3 divided by 2. That works also. Equals, this cancels out, you get y. So then you kind of say, okay, x divided by 2, you have to kind of realize it's really the same thing as 1/2 times x minus 3 over 2 equals y, which becomes, by, so then your f inverse of x is 1/2 x minus 3/2. So that works too. You just have to kind of, oh, what happened? What happened to my thing? You just have to bear in mind that you have to kind of do this, that when you divide by 2, you should kind of split them apart. So with this term and that term, split them. Is everyone comfortable with this? So you can do it either way. It actually might be easier. You divide by 2, and then remember, each term is divided by 2. So the x is divided by 2, and the negative 3 is divided by 2. Then the tricky part might be getting from here to here. The easiest way to think of that is maybe putting a 1, invisible 1 in front of the x, right? So this becomes 1/2 times x. All right, so that is this example. So now, you guys want to do this one together? What's the, I'll let you guys do these ones on your own. But so remember, what's your first step? Make this into y equals, right? 1/3 x, and then draw a line. This is separate. This is the inverse. It's not the same, it's different. You're going to swap the x and the y. And solve for y. So you folks have got 3 of those to do. So I would say do those 3. We'll take 10 minutes for that. And at home, go ahead and pause, or wait until we kind of start going over it, then you can pause maybe, in case there's comments to give you. Reasons why I think it's easier to multiply by the reciprocal than it is to divide.
That's it?
So, Eric?
Yeah.
So what's our first step, folks? We're going to swap the
The x and the
x and the y. So this is why I think it makes more sense to multiply by the reciprocal than it does to divide. Because rather than dividing by 1/3, that gets to be really messy, right? What's the reciprocal? I want to get rid of the 1/3. So what's the reciprocal of 1/3? 3/1. Multiply both sides by 3/1, and then your life becomes easier. Is that, you guys kind of follow me? So I'm going to multiply this side by 3/1. I'm going to multiply this side by 3/1. And then that should make things easier for me. So, what do I get on this side? You get 3/1 times x is the same thing as 3x. And then again, the 3/1 times 1/3 is just another form of 1. It goes away. Right, it's 1y. So then this is just really 3x equals y. Or y equals 3x. You can think of it that way. So then you end up with f inverse, f to the -1 power of x equals 3. This is your final answer. Questions about this? So I think it's a lot easier to multiply by the reciprocal. So if it's a whole number, the reciprocal might be a fraction. But if you like, you can. If it's a whole number, you can divide. That's fine. But if it's a fraction, you definitely should be multiplying by the reciprocal for sure. Let's take a look at the next one. And again, you're going to rewrite this. So for your first step, rewrite this, and then find the inverse, where the x and the y swap. One comment I would say is, if you're multiplying by -3, then you need to either divide by -3 or you need to multiply by -1/3, either way. But if it's, when you multiply or dividing, a negative times a negative makes a positive. So if you're multiplying by -3, you need to divide by -3. So the first one, again, you have to undo in the opposite order. So you undo it, you'll undo the -5 first. So just let me give you guys a little side thing on multiplying fractions. So 2/3, oh, let's pick something you guys know. 4/7. Okay, so 1/2 of 4/7. So here are these are all sevenths. Is everyone okay with this part? Like, imagine like a pizza that's split in 4 spots. Here's 4/7. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. If I want half of that, how many is it? Well, think of it like this. I'm going to take half of this one. I'm going to take half of that one. I'm going to take half of that one. I'm going to take half of that one. But, so I still have 4 of them, but they're not sevenths anymore. Now they're half of a 7. What's half of a 7? A 14. Now let's just start with something easier. Okay, let's try this. Let's do 1/3. Let's do 1/4. Here's a 1/4. This is what I have. If I want half of that, it's how much? This much? Everybody okay with that part?
Yeah.
But that's not a 1/4 of the pizza anymore. That's half of a 1/4 of the pizza. It's how much?
8.
An 1/8. You guys sort of are at that part? All right, so when we multiply fractions, what we do is you multiply the numerators. So this becomes 1 times 1, and multiply the denominators. 2 times 4.
No.
1/8. So if I have 2/3 times 3/4, what would that be? Top is 2 times 3. The bottom is 3 times 4.
6/12.
6 over 12.
And then you reduce it? Or something?
Now, so you guys want a little trick on how to clean this up a little bit sooner? Or not? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the thing. You can reduce early, is what we call it. So I can say, okay, I've got a 3 here and a 3 there. 3 over 3 is just another form of 1. That just makes 1. So these go away and they just become 1s. The 2 and the 4, what do they have in common? You can divide by 2. So if I divide this by 2, I get 1. If I divide this by 2, I get 2. So then you end up doing 1 times 1 over 1 times 2, 1/2. And if you think of it 6/12, it's the same thing as 1/2. Right? If you have 6/12 of a pizza, that means you have half of it. Right? There's 12 pieces, you have 6 of them, you have half the pizza. Okay, so
You're
let's
just
take,
cleaning it up before or after, basically, yeah.
yeah. So here, we'll take a look at our problem here. So you guys change this into y equals 1/2 x minus 5. And then we're going to do the inverse. So the inverse is when you swap them. You're going to make this x equals 1/2 y minus 5. And then you're going to solve for y. So the first thing we need to get rid of is what?
-5.
Get -5. Because you have to undo them in opposite order. So the last thing you have, first the y gets multiplied by 1/2, and then you subtract 5. So you have to undo the last thing, the minus 5. How do you undo minus 5? Plus 5. And again, don't forget to draw this little line straight down so you keep these two halves straight. What do you do on this half? You have to do it on this half as well. So that will give me x plus 5 equals 1/2 y. And then what do? I'm multiplying by 1/2 y, I need to multiply by the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of 1/2?
2/1.
2/1. So I'm going to do x plus 5, I'm going to multiply that by 2/1. Set over here. And it's going to be the whole thing, so you have to put the whole thing in parentheses. This one stays at y. 2/1. 2/1 is the same thing as what whole number?
2.
2. So if you want to think about it as just multiplying by 2, it might make your life easier. But 2/1 is the same thing as 2. So 2 times x is
2x.
2x. 2 times 5 is
10.
10. So then this becomes f inverse of x equals 2x plus 10. All right, well, let's look at the next one. So again, the first step is to change, just make this into y equals negative 3x plus 1/2. And then we're going to find the inverse. So this is inverse land over here. The inverse, the x and the y swap, so this becomes x equals negative 3x, or y, sorry, y plus 1/2. First thing you want to do is get rid of the 1/2. So I think everybody subtracted, draw my little thing for success, my line straight down. Everybody subtracted 1/2 from both sides. And you got x minus 1/2 equals negative 3y. And then I think what most people did was they multiplied both sides by negative 1/3. So negative 1/3 times x minus 1/2 is equal to negative 1/3 times negative 3y. So this side is pretty straightforward, that's y. But this other side we have to distribute this in. So the first part, negative 1/3 times x is just negative 1/3 x. That's easy. This part is the trickier part. Negative times a negative, so do the signs first. Negative times a negative is a positive. And then everybody do 1/3 times 1/2. Everybody do it. 1/3 times 1/2. 1/3 times 1/2. What's the deal? You multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators. Check with your neighbors. I'm going to ask somebody randomly what you get in 15 seconds. Natalia, what'd you get?
1/6. Or,
1 what? What'd you say? I didn't hear you.
1/6.
1/6. Great. Perfect.
Negative 1/3 x.
So then my final answer is f inverse of x is equal to negative 1/3 x plus 6. Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back in 10 minutes. So 20, 27, 37 after.